The Americans like things big and powerful and strong and dramatic. And the steam engine, the locomotive, represents that in spectacular fashion. The British invented the steam engine, and the British invented most of the early railroading, but the Americans picked up very quickly.
In 1825, George Stephenson, a self-taught engineer, built Locomotion, a steam-powered locomotive. It pulled a wagon over a rail for the Stockton and Darlington Railway in northeast England. In that moment, railroading was born. 4 years later, Stephenson, now known as the father of railways, unveiled the rocket, what might be dubbed the first express engine, with a top speed of 12 miles per hour. Stephenson would go on to become railroading's first millionaire, the first of many to follow. An ocean away, the possibilities of this new technology were not lost on a nation rapidly expanding from its original 13 colonies, pushing west across the Appalachian Mountains toward the great Mississippi River. It was an expansion that required a glue, an economy to hold the people of the United States together, mold them into one nation, one identity.
The railroads shape American psychology. Bigness is important, and it's the railroads that are big, and the first really great big industry. Efficiency is an important American ideal, and it's the railroads who not only demand efficiency, but who invent the techniques like the statistical management of each locomotive, of each depot, of each operating part of the system that produces numbers that tell you how much profit you're making or how much loss and how efficient you are. That efficiency is design. Americans are bureaucratic. That is, we go for career tracks with titles and promotions and positions and live by the rules. It's the railroads who invented that bureaucratic system, who invented the titles, who invented the rules, who invented the career path, who invented promotions, and invented retirement as well.
But railroads in America started small, very small.
Well, in the 1830s, railroads were still experimental. They were the new technology of the day. They were cheap to build because they were small, and they didn't go far.
Even though these early locomotives and tracks didn't go very far or move very fast, they would turn out to be the techno-economic base that literally carried America into and through the Industrial Revolution, creating the first nationwide techno-infrastructure anywhere in the world. It all came from railroads.
The sense of greatness, the sense of a can-do spirit, the sense of the ability to control the environment, to seize control. Are there mountains to cross? Are there big rivers to cross? Yes, the railroads do it with gigantic bridges. And do they have snow that stops the trains and every other traffic? Well, they invent snow plows to plow their way through the snow. So the railroads give a can-do, an engineering, a practical approach to the American psyche. And the Americans think that any problem can be engineered into a solution.
In the 20th and 21st centuries, computers and the internet created the techno-economic base of the information age in a mere 30 years. But it required much longer for railroads to do the same. For 100 years, from 1830 to 1930, America's railroads could be counted on for technological innovation. Better, more powerful engines, new and better cars for passengers and freight hauling. They could be counted on for more and more jobs, laying new track, always expanding the number of people employed by the railroads.
The railroad also was quite an employer. They not only, of course, had the depots and the track employees, but they had these huge locomotive shops and also car shops. And in conjunction with that, there was also the supply department. This one area east of here that's vacant land used to be nothing but just supplies for the track, supplies for the locomotives.
Railroads could be counted on to tie the country together in ways impossible by wagon and horseback. They brought the riches of the nation to market from one end of the country to the other. Whether it was gold from the mines of California or lumber from the Pacific Northwest or cattle from Texas, finished goods from the East, or agricultural products of the Midwest and the South. Railroads made the economy work, made the nation grow, made it into an industrial powerhouse the likes of which the world had never seen. And the nation's railroads could be counted on to form the backbone of America's constant need for more and faster communication. In those first 100 years of railroading, the only reliable way to get anywhere faster than a horse was the train. And of course, trains carried the mail.
The U.S. Post Office at one time could pick up the mail for every city with the use of trains. In the big towns, they of course were physically transferred back and forth. But in the smaller towns, I mean the real small ones, the flag stop, the postmaster would put the bag of mail on a hook, and then as the passenger car with the post office came by, they would snap up the bag of mail and they would kick off a bag of mail for the postmaster. And this was done thousands of times per day in the United States. And this is how the mail kept going. And this is when the mail was really moved by rail.
And many historians would argue that after the Civil War, the train depot was the most important social institution in the country. The Snoqualmie, Washington depot was typical.
The Snoqualmie Depot was the center of town, so it was where people came to hear world news, to send or receive a telegram, to pick up family coming into town, or to take the train to Seattle. Anything that was ordered would have been shipped to the Snoqualmie Depot. It would have sat in the freight room awaiting pickup. Likewise, anything going out would have ended up going through the freight room here at the depot as well. So before there were phones and TVs and other gathering spots, the depot was really the center of town, and it's where people came together to speak with each other, to talk about things that were going on in the community and in the world. They received their mail here. Everything came through the depot.
America's unusually strong financial system also grew out of the railways, which in turn allowed the railroads to expand rapidly. And as the railways expanded, they ingeniously devised increasingly complex forms of management. They created middle management.
Middle management and the idea of having a career with a railroad is essentially invented in the 1840-1850 period by the pioneering railroads. And all the other railroads adopted, and by 1900, the other big industrial corporations are adopting the same sort of pattern. Everybody's following the railroad.
For the first time, there was a huge national sales market. And for the first time, there was a culture of engineering excellence and a modern system of management. A system of management still in use today. All because of the Iron Horse. And finally, from the very beginning, railroads could be counted on to be an entrepreneur's paradise, where anybody with American know-how and hard work could build an empire and make a fortune, and could just as easily lose it all. It all started in 1829 with a name legendary in railroading history, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, and its quaint little engine, Tom Thumb.
Hi, I'm Bill Ambrose. If you like this video, subscribe so we can bring you more programming from our studio. Thank you for subscribing.